We will start our lesson on 14.1 angles. Today's date is October 12th, 2020. But this would be a 10th for October. Perfect. All right, so some things that we're going to see throughout our trigonometry units moving further. We are often use the Greek letter theta is what that's called. So a circle with a line in the center. It's pronounced theta with a th. To name an angle measure. All right, so it's basically using a variable to replace an angle that we are not sure of its value. But that is the most common variable we end up using is that Greek letter theta. All right, so some things they'll ask you to do in this section will be to sketch angles in standard position. So sketching angles in standard position. Okay. So in standard position, we are talking about the coordinate plane for sketching angles. So in geometry, when you talked about angles, most of your angles kind of went anywhere from 0 degrees to 180 degrees. All right, pretty typical. This would make a 90-degree angle for our coordinate plane. So this is your x and y. So we're thinking of that. So this would make 90 degrees. So from 180, we travel another 90 degrees. This would be 270. And then all the way back around would be 360, right, to make a full complete circle. So you talked about those kinds of things in geometry. You can go past 360. We could go around twice. All right, we could also go backwards. So when I'm talking about the coordinate plane, this would be quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. Usually they put quadrants in Roman numerals. If you just write the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, not a big deal. I think in Math Excel, when it asks you where something a quadrant would be in, it's multiple choice anyways. But I always write it in Roman numerals. Okay, so we can have a positive angle. All right, that means we will move counterclockwise. All right, so this is our starting position here. And then if I move in that direction, that would be the positive direction going counterclockwise around. All right. I can also have a negative angle. That's going to move the reverse direction, so we will move clockwise. So if this is my starting position here at 0 degrees, my angle would move in the reverse direction clockwise, which would be a negative angle direction. So a negative angle is something that's going to be a little bit new to you in geometry. You probably did not talk about negative angles. Okay. All right, a couple more vocab terms that you're going to see. We have an initial side. All right, that is just the ray of where your angle starts. So my initial side is that on the x-axis at 0 degrees. All right, the terminal side that would be the ray where the angle ends. So you'll see that terminal side brought up a lot. It'll say, well, for the angle 265 degrees, where the terminal side, where does it, in which quadrant does that terminal side end? Things like that. All right. So make sure that we are familiar with these terms. And then we'll go ahead and we'll try sketching a few examples for our angles. And in Math Excel, most of the sketching is going to be just selecting the multiple choice problem that looks like what you would have sketched. All right, so we are going to sketch 100 degrees. Okay, so I'm just going to sketch a little coordinate plane. All right, this is considered my initial side of that ray. And then I need to just kind of give an estimate. Right, this is 90 degrees up here, so 100 degrees needs to move a little bit past 90 degrees. So there's my sketch. So I'd be looking for the picture for multiple choice in Math Excel. That's terminal side, right? So here's the terminal side. And then there's my initial side. Where it's terminal side would be a little bit past 90 degrees. Okay. Let's look at if I asked you to sketch a negative angle. So sketch negative 30 degrees. So we'll make our little coordinate plane. So our negative angle is going to go clockwise. So we start here, that's considered 0 degrees. I need to travel down approximately 30 degrees. So if it's 90 all the way to the bottom of your y-axis, this is a third of the way there. That would be negative 30 degrees. Okay. I could also ask you to sketch something that goes past 360. So like sketch 460 degrees. Okay. So our terminal side is at 0 degrees on that x-axis. So if I was traveling in a positive direction, I'm going to go counterclockwise. That would be 360 degrees around. And then how many degrees I would have left would be 100 degrees left over. So that means it would end up ending right there. The terminal side would end just 10 degrees past your y-axis. So you'll kind of see a little, like a little circle and then an arrow ending there when you're selecting that picture to show that it went past 360. All right, there's something important I want you to notice about number 3 and number 1 is that their terminal sides, where that angle ends, is in the exact same location. Right, they're both 10 degrees past 90 degrees, whether I drew it for 100 degrees or 460. All right, so that's the next important thing that we are going to talk about, are complementary angles. Oh, sorry, not complementary. That's what we talked about earlier. Coterminal angles. So these are angles that share the same initial and terminal side. And our example from above would be 460 degrees and 100 degrees. Those are coterminal. They started in the same location and ended in the same location, even though they are different angles. That will be valuable information for us moving forward into what we're doing next week. So some things that you'll be asked to do then in your homework in Math Excel would be to find angles of least possible positive measure coterminal with each angle. All right, very wordy, but those are the directions that you'll see. All right, so for example, if I gave you 908 degrees, sketching that's a little bit annoying, right? We're going to go around a few times. The more important thing that we'll want to use with something like that would be the least positive possible coterminal angle with 908 degrees, because that's going to show you actually where you would need to sketch it. It's going to show you the quadrant it's actually going to end up landing in, which will be more important than anything else. All right, so we got to think about when things are coterminal, they have to land in the same spot. Going around one time is 360 degrees, so that's going to be the big one to take away from this. So if I go around one time, I got to take away 360 degrees. All right, I'm still going to have some stuff left over, so I'll be able to take away 360 again. So I'm actually taking away 720. That puts me at 188 degrees. So it's still a positive angle. I can't take away 360 one more time because that would be a negative coterminal angle. So 188 degrees is kind of showing me where that's going to end up. It's going to show me what quadrant it's going to land in if I sketched it, right? So it's going to be just a little bit past 180 degrees, but it went around 2 times. I think I swooped it 2 more times. Okay, so that's what this is looking for. You might be given a negative angle example. So they might say negative 800 degrees. Find the least possible positive measure that's coterminal with that angle. So instead of taking away 360 like in our first example, I'm going to end up adding 360 until it becomes positive. So I'll be able to add 360 2 times, because I'd be adding 720. But then I will have to add it a 3rd time to actually make it positive. So I would end up at 280. If you add 360 again, you will find another coterminal angle, but it's not the least positive. Sorry, it is not the least possible. It's still positive. All right, but it's the smallest number that we can get. All right, because preferably when we're sketching these things, they all stay within our 4 quadrants one time and we're not going around 3 or 4 times. Okay, the last thing you'll be asked to find, still talking about coterminal angles, is it might say to find 2 positive and 2 negative coterminal angles. So we'll just do one example of this. So if you were given 90 degrees, I have to come up with two positive coterminal angles. So they have to land in the same spot as 90 degrees would. I'm taking 90 degrees and I'm adding 360. So I just go around one more time. So that would put me at 450. All right, that would be one positive coterminal angle. Now I have to take 450 and add 360 again. So I'll be at 810 degrees. There's my two positive coterminal angles with 90. So you have an infinite amount of coterminal angles. We can add 360 forever and ever. All right, but in this case, it's just asking you for two positives and two negatives. So to go in the negative direction, I got to take 360 away, move the other way. So that would put me at negative 270, would be the same exact location as a positive 90 degrees. Then if I want one more negative coterminal angle, I will take away 360 from negative 270. So there would be my two negative coterminal angles. So you have that in your directions as well. That and then that geometry review handout is what you will need to be able to wrap up the 14.1 and 14.2 homework in Math Excel. The end.